Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. A third person involved in the abduction of a 33-year-old teacher in Westmoreland last week is dead. 10 standoff between taxi operators and transport authority in St. Elizabeth. And later in sports, JPL semi-finals kicks off today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Carrie Simpson. Here are the details. We begin with news that a third person involved in the abduction of a 33-year-old teacher in Westmoreland last week is dead. The deceased 39-year-old Omar Johnson was shot and killed by police minutes to 10 p.m. yesterday during an operation in Pell River, Hanover. A 9mm pistol with several rounds of ammunition were recovered from him. Police believe the abduction was ordered by the incarcerated leader of the Kings Valley Gang. The incident occurred Thursday, May 8 at approximately 6 a.m. in Jerusalem Mountain, Westmoreland. The woman was taken from her vehicle by 3 armed men, blindfolded and transported to Hanover. She was taken to a 2-bedroom board house in the parish. However, quick action led the police to rescuing her and killing 2 of the abductors. The police are raising an alarm as criminals are using sophisticated tactics to steal cars. As you'll hear in this report, motor vehicle theft remains rampant, particularly in Kingston and St. Andrew. Kirk Wright reports.
According to head of the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Investigations Branch CTOC Motor Vehicle Unit, Detective Inspector Marcel Bedward, motor vehicle theft is not only persistent, but it's also evolving. Speaking on a recent episode of the Force for Good podcast, Inspector Bedward described it as a crime of opportunity. One of the more troubling developments he revealed is the increasing use of technology by criminals to bypass modern vehicle security systems.
The time in which it takes for persons to discover their vehicle stolen would give the criminals enough time to disable or take out some of the tracking devices, alarm systems that were placed in there to prevent the vehicles from being stolen. Those are the 2 major issues that we're having now.
But what are they using now that they weren't using before?
There are devices that grabs the signal from the key fobs and causes the criminals to transmit them with other devices to the vehicle, giving them easier access to the vehicle and a quicker time to move away with the vehicles.
While motor vehicle theft is an island-wide issue, the police say they've seen a higher concentration of reports in sections of Kingston and St. Andrew, especially in commercial zones and densely populated residential areas.
As Arthur Town Centre, New Kingston Town Centre, where there's a high
volume,
Quite so. For the communities, we are seeing Moon and Oak Pastors and the Richmond Park are some of the communities where we're getting a high number of reports of stolen vehicles. We're seeing St. James as well, popping up in the top 4, and St. Andrew North. For St. Andrew North, it would be some areas closer to Price Mart areas and up.
Havendale, Meadowbrook, that kind of.
Quite so.
Inspector Bedward is urging vehicle owners to take extra precautions.
If the vehicle is parked along the roadway, it is easier for the criminals to have access to the vehicle unimpeded. So we're recommending that persons engage in their community neighborhood watch groups. We are presently doing public sensitization as it relates to being aware of where you park your vehicle. If the community comes together, and you know that the neighbor parks their car, you know the neighbor, and you see somebody in the area lurking that should not or is not known to you, you could probably contact the police or alert other residents.
Amoy Harriet, TVJ News.
As Trelawney celebrates a sharp decline in major crimes since the start of 2025, police are now turning their attention to a growing and deeply troubling issue, domestic violence. Oshane Masters explains.
While the parish of Trelawney is experiencing a notable reduction in major crimes in early 2025, the police are raising red flags over a concerning rise in domestic violence incidents. Of the 5 murders recorded so far this year, 3 have been linked to domestic disputes, an alarming trend that has prompted the lawmen to intensify their focus on domestic-related conflicts.
We realize that our minor issues result in major incidents. So these are the driving force behind what is happening. We treat our domestic issues as if they were murders, and we're asking that persons who have these issues, they can come to the police. We'll assist you in getting the necessary interaction and intervention.
Deputy Superintendent of Police Rowan Fletcher, who is in charge of operations for the parish, emphasized that while domestic violence is a top priority, the JCF remains committed to pursuing those intent on disrupting public safety.
We have seen a lull, and this is because of our constant interaction where this is concerned. We have our outside members who assist us as well. We partner with several agencies, such as the military and other divisions. So we're presently seeing a lull in these activities.
In the ongoing fight against violent crime, the Trelawney Police have listed 5 individuals on their most wanted list.
Top of the list is Rio Rochester. Rio Rochester is wanted for a murder committed in Stettin District, South Trelawney. Rio Rochester is originally from the parish of Manchester. However, he frequents the parish of Clarendon also. We also have Akeem Frame, otherwise called Chubby. Akeem is wanted for a murder committed in Hague District, Trelawney. He's from the parish of Trelawney. However, he also frequents Hanover.
Also on the list are Delmark Sinclair, otherwise called Fry Eye of Sherwood Content, O'Neill Demetrius, also known as Boy Boy of Low River, and Jermaine Smith, who goes by Channeman, Crane, or Lando of Allside District in the parish.
Trelawney does not have high numbers of murder, but we are working to get Trelawney to be in a better position than it was last year when the year ended. So we're looking at reduction in all major crimes by the end of this year.
The police say they will continue their dual strategy of aggressive law enforcement and community intervention to ensure both the reduction of violent crimes and the protection of vulnerable individuals in domestic settings. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
A tense standoff occurred this morning in Santa Cruz, St. Elizabeth, as transport authorities attempted to seize an alleged illegal robotaxi. The situation intensified when the authorities failed to present official identification. They were also not in uniform. This sparked concern among both taxi operators and residents about the legitimacy of the operation. The police were eventually called to the scene. The authorities later confirmed that the group attempting to seize the vehicle were indeed officials from the Transport Authority. Chairman of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation, Norman Scott, says councillors will be invoking a provision in the constitution of their union to force the Association of Local Government Authorities of Jamaica, ALGAJ, to hold the long overdue annual general meeting. The association has not held an AGM since 2018. An attempt was made in January, but the meeting was aborted after a heated standoff.
We had a meeting of the executive on Monday, which again was prematurely adjourned, this time on the false premise of procedural inadequacy.
At last Thursday's monthly meeting of the Municipal Corporation, Mr. Scott said councillors will be asked to sign a petition in support of the decision.
We are going to be using the Constitution of ALGA, which states, Section 7 of its Constitution, states that 1/3 of its membership is deemed the right to demand an AGM within a specified time.
The issue of political billboards was the subject of debate at the recent St. Mary Municipal Corporation meeting. Mayor of Port Maria, Fitzroy Wilson, was taken to task over reports that the corporation collected payments for billboards to be erected for the JLP candidate for Western St. Mary. The issue was raised by former chairman of the corporation, Richard Query.
Since when politicians are being charged for billboards? I have been here doing 22 years and I have never seen a politician paying for billboards. So it was brought to my attention that the candidate for Western St. Mary paid for the boards that he has put in. And if that is so, I would like to know when the corporation's policy has changed on political billboards.
In response, Mayor Wilson said he was not aware of the matter and an investigation would be done.
I don't know if it's because what is happening in Montego Bay why that happened, but I'm not sure. I don't know if Miss D can.
No, this is the first I'm hearing about it, so I'll have to investigate.
I was at the meeting. I don't know somebody at the meeting to talk about my information. It was really clear, but somebody was here.
Yeah, man, it was very, very clear because I even asked the question about the calculation. And Fed down there was even saying, you know, they're running a little joke on it. Then we would have to see that one. It came to the meeting, and I was the person who really asked the question about the calculation of it. So it was very clear that it was political billboards.
Mayor Wilson acknowledged that it may have been an oversight. Opposition spokesman on water and PNP candidate for Western Westmoreland, Ian Hales, has presented a plan to the Negril Chamber of Commerce, which he says will alleviate the resort town's water woes. Details in this report.
Ian Hales, who was invited to speak to the Negril Chamber of Commerce, displayed his handbook containing plans to fix the parish's water woes. Hales, who is going up against the Jamaica Labour Party's Dr. Garfield James, told the chamber he would put systems in place to prevent price gouging by truck operators.
Almost every truck, don't care what size it is, I don't think it exceeds $5,000 a load to buy the water from the NWC. To buy the water. But when it gets to your door or your business place, it's anywhere between $45,000 and $70,000 in some cases.
His other plan is to tap into the Carburetor and Roaring Rivers in order to provide constant supply of water to Negril.
And bring it this side. So we're not going to go from that side first, from the Hanover side. We're going to bring it through this side, run it on the corridor, and we're between a 24 and a 36-inch main so that you can have the supply over the next 25 to 30 years.
Mr. Hale says he's usually angered when the current minister with responsibility for water, Matthew Samuda, is invited to speak in Negril.
When someone comes and tell you about procurement, that you have to, it takes around a 2-year process or a 3-year in terms of getting everything. Any minister of government can sign something that is emergency. Do you have an emergency here in Negril? What you do for the tourism sector? Yes, you do. The emergency you have is water. So it's a project that can be signed off on by the minister. And if that was done, you would have the pipeline. But something happened last year after they announced the project.
Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
It's time for a break. Stay with us, more stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Controversy is brewing in Trinidad and Tobago over the upcoming visit of Jamaican dancehall artist Vybz Kartel. The country's new defense minister Wayne Surge has ordered the trimming of Vybz Kartel's itinerary ahead of his scheduled performance in Porto, Spain on May 31. Now, legal sources within the ministry told Guardian Media that in one of his first official acts, Minister Sturge blocked several planned appearances by the Jamaican entertainer, including 2 media interviews and multiple public engagements. Among the scheduled activities reportedly cancelled are radio and television appearances, a local press session, a meet and greet school or youth center visit, and an official engagement scheduled for May 28. It's now time for the Business Minute.
The Bank of Jamaica says it generated net profits of $9.7 billion for the year to date. The bank is also reporting that its assets climbed to $1.2 trillion, or 33.6% of GDP, as at April 23 this year, compared with $1.1 trillion for the similar period last year. This increase was due to a jump in its foreign assets to $929.7 billion in April from $815.1 billion last year. Its local assets, however, dipped to $241.9 billion in April from $274.9 billion last year. Further afield, Boeing has secured a deal with Qatar for up to 210 jets worth $96 billion. The White House is calling it the aircraft maker's largest ever wide-body order. President Donald Trump was in Doha Wednesday, where the sale was announced. It's part of economic deals totaling more than $243 billion between the U.S. and Qatar. This sale also comes as Qatar's Prime Minister dismissed controversy surrounding President Donald Trump's plan to accept a Boeing 747-8 to be used as Air Force One. For the Business Minute, I'm Shane Masters.
Time now for the top stories from around the world.
In the region, Antigua and Barbuda's Foreign Minister Chet Green has urged stronger cooperation with China, Latin America and the Caribbean, warning that global tensions may severely affect the Global South. Speaking at the 4th China CELAC Forum in Beijing, Mr. Green said unchecked geopolitical strains could surpass the disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. He called for unity and multilateral action, particularly in issues such as climate change, food security and pandemic preparedness.
And we head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report.